How to build an audience as a writer. So let's talk about what a few people have in common that I love to talk about. J.K. Rowling, Gary Vee, Maya Angelou, and Taylor Swift. What do they all have in common? They all have unbreakable bonds with their audience because of their writing. So I want you to stick around today and check out how you can also do the same as a writer for your audience. So we're going to talk today about the importance of building brand awareness, doing things consistently, and making it so that you're always keeping the promise with your audience. I speak about the promise in pretty much every single speech that I give and every single thing that I write. Now, that's part of my promise with my audience. That's why they follow me. And so when you think about it for yourself, what is it that you're going to be delivering? What are your signature moves that only you have that they'll follow you for? Now, building an audience as a writer is kind of tricky because, lots of people write, but they may not have a huge audience. One of the things that I've found is that making sure that you're consistent is one of my favorite things. And so we'll talk more about that. But also having it available for people. So I wrote a book called The Promise to the One. And the one is yourself. What are the promises you've made and kept to yourself? If you want to check out this book, you can go find it at Amazon, and it's linked in the description. This book will change the way that you see yourself and the fact that you have a promise as a writer to share with your audience. Before I move on, let me tell you a little bit more as to why I wrote The Promise to the One. I remember as a kid thinking it would be so cool to be a writer. It'd be so awesome to have my own book. And then as I started reading a lot of books, and I'm a reader actually a voracious reader, I read as much as possible, most likely like you. I remember reading books that peers had written that were speakers or entertainers and others that I remember thinking, I don't know if this is really their greatest passion, if they're really excited for me to read this. So I wrote the book thinking to myself, I want to write a book that someone really would want to read. And so I share a bunch of really vulnerable, hilarious stories about when I've broken a promise to myself. And then at the same time, how I can keep better promises to myself. And this book has changed my life, actually. Having a book out there is a most important thing for my career. It's built my audience in a way I never expected. In fact, it debuted at #1 on self-help in the spiritual section of Amazon. I couldn't even believe that that happened to me. But I hope that it encourages you as you think about writing yourself. Because so often we think, oh, I'll just write a blog, or I'll just maybe write some things here and there and send them as an email to somebody, or I'll post on social media. Those are important, but eventually I would encourage you so much to consider committing yourself to writing your own book. So I hope that you go check out mine. You can get it in ebook form. It's on Audible. It's me performing it, which is extra fun, or you can get the nice copy in your hands. It's The Promise to the One at Amazon. So in order to build your audience as a writer, you need to know who your audience is. How do you do that? Well, first you need to tailor your message to the audience. You need to create some engagement. And one of the best people I know who does this well is Brendon Burchard. Yeah, Brendon Burchard is a genius at this. In fact, he gives and gives and gives on all of his webinars, on his videos. And he actually says, hey, if you want to just pay for shipping, I'll send you my book for free. That's how much he wants his audience to be built. He's creating a tribe. And so some people will do that model where they're sending their book out for free, just having the audience pay for shipping. And in fact, actually, if you look at it, the shipping doesn't even cover it, doesn't cover the actual cost. He's just trying to build an audience because he knows his writing is so awesome. One of the overlooked greats as far as writers is concerned, her name is Susan Cain. She wrote a book called Quiet, which is about the power of introverts in this world. I don't know if you connect with that, but I know I do. Even though a lot of people say, oh, you must be an extrovert because you're on stage. Truth is, I'm a writer. I'd rather sit under a tree than talk to somebody and write in my journal. And so when I read Quiet, it absolutely blew me away. 1/3 of the people in this world identify as introverts. And so she was writing to a very niche, specific audience, and it has really helped a lot of people to read her words, especially the introverts that are thinking, maybe I need to be more extroverted. Instead, they stand in their power. Susan Cain helps everybody to feel like, yeah, it's cool to be quiet. Let's talk about some crossover examples of great writers. Taylor Swift. Wow, at the time of this recording right now, she is on her Eras tour. She's selling out stadiums and now even has a movie of that show and theaters that you can go watch. No, this is a great gal. What I love about Taylor Swift, she is the ultimate storyteller, the ultimate singer who's combined it all together as really a perfect writer. And she's created fans that are Swifties, that are kind of crazy about her, and they should be because she's so awesome. And so that's a crazy awesome way to build a community. Whether you're writing songs, writing the stories that you've been through, the breakups, the challenges, oh, she's connecting deeply with the people that have gone through the same thing, and she's creating an amazing following. Now let's talk about platform building 101. You need to choose your platform. So, for example, some people write a book, some people write music, some people do a blog. You need to choose. I write my blog on WordPress. You choose your place, and that's an important thing. Maybe it's not blogging, maybe it's podcasting, maybe it's mostly on social media, but choosing your platform is extremely important to knowing and building your audience. Then there's the rule of consistency. Probably my favorite book I've read in the last decade is by a guy named Steven Pressfield, and it's called The War of Art. He talks about the challenge every writer faces every single morning, and it's called the power of resistance. Yes, resistance is a great challenge for all of us. We resist doing the work we should be doing and instead do other things. He said that a lot of people, instead of sitting down to write every morning at 9 a.m. as they should, they go golfing or they watch a movie, they do anything else, all the chores in the house, instead of doing the work. I would highly recommend you check out The War of Art. Then you can also collaborate to elevate. One of my favorite artists of all time is a guy named Ben Folds. If you've heard of Ben Folds 5, or Ben Folds is a solo musical artist. He's a piano player, singer, songwriter. He decided to actually combine talents with a great poet named Nick Hornby. And they put together an incredible album of works that were so interesting because they decided to combine in order to elevate. Go check out their work. And then here are some platform expansion examples. Ed Sheeran, if you know Ed Sheeran, when he plays the guitar up on stage, he also uses a pedal board and he switches all the different instruments and stuff and pre-records them while he's on stage. It's crazy. And yet he started as a YouTube artist. Now he's just recently launched a huge Amazon concert. He's amazing at what he's done, but he continues to expand his different platforms. Another great artist is known as Her. H-E-R. Gabriella has played every instrument. She's just an absolute genius on all of these musical instruments, unlike anybody I've seen in a long time. And she's won many Grammys because of her talents. She continues to expand her gifts, and then she expands her audience. What I'd love for you to do in the comments before we continue on with this video is please put in there your favorite artist. I would love to know who your favorite writer is, the favorite performer, the person that you consider a great artist, maybe that I haven't yet mentioned. Thanks for sharing. When it comes to authenticity and voice, think about what your voice truly is and how you've discovered that in your life. Each of us have a voice that makes us unique, and that's how we truly build a great audience. Being yourself is one of the most important things. Oscar Wilde famously said, "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken." And so when you think about for yourself what your voice is, I'm going to teach you how to discover that, and we'll talk more about that at the end of the video. But if you want to check it out, it's at icmprocess.com. And as you start to discover for yourself what your talents are, your gifts, your voice, that helps you in your writing process. So let me show you a few more things. Everybody has a unique voice. David Sedaris is somebody I love. He's a hilarious humorist and writer, and somebody I cannot stop reading or watching whenever he's on any kind of online platform. So go check him out. And then there's the voice in songwriting, Billie Eilish. If you're familiar with Billie, I mean, this is a person, she's incredible at what she's put together. As a singer-songwriter, she's telling stories, and she's extremely unique in those gifts that she has, just as you are as the writer you are becoming. Now let's talk about engaging with your audience, because as you're building up an audience through all the different consistencies that you're doing, all of your work, you're putting things out there, you're on the platforms now, how do you engage with your audience? Some of the do's and don'ts of engaging with an audience comes from Gary Vee. He's one of my favorites to watch because he is so consistent at what he does. He posts, it seems, thousands of things a day. But one of the great things that he does talk about is that social media is about engaging with your audience. And so don't just create the audience and never respond to the comments. Go in and look at what they're writing, like it, respond to it, talk with them, create new content because of what they say. Gary Vee is the best at this. I would also say that it's important to read widely and read well. So I've already talked about Steven Pressfield's The War of Art, but I want to give you another book that you're going to love. It's by a friend of mine named Grant Baldwin. It's called The Success successful speaker. Now, you might be thinking, well, I'm not a speaker, I'm a writer. Okay, but this applies to you as well. Because as Grant talks through his book of The Successful Speaker, he teaches you how to actually build up your audience and to create more and more of what you can do as a speaker would in their own business. It's applicable across the board. Check it out. I've talked about consistency, but let me just tell you about my blog. I've been writing this blog for over 10 years. I've never missed having it go out on a Sunday morning at 5 a.m. Having this blog is so powerful for me because it keeps me accountable to an audience who's expecting it. In fact, one time I decided I'm not going to post it at 5 a.m. and just see if anybody notices. My inbox was flooded by 9 a.m. I couldn't believe it because I pushed it off until 5 p.m. just to see how they'd respond as an audience. But they were expecting that I would have something out at 5 a.m. Consistency matters. Write all the time that your audience expects it, and they'll be thankful for it. And engage with your audience. Whenever they comment on my blog, I'm commenting as well. Whenever they're commenting on social media, I'm commenting as well. Whenever they post a nice review in Amazon, I'll do all I can to reach out and say thank you. These are things that make up my signature moves as a writer, and this is how I've created an audience for myself. I know that as you put these into play, it's going to change the way that you build your audience, and you're going to keep promises to them that they will love. But the question really is, what is your voice? What is your signature move? Have you identified, clarified, and magnified it? I'd like to teach you how to do that. I'm giving you a special tool as we close this video out. If you'll go to icmprocess.com, it's going to change the way you write and build your audience. I hope you'll go check it out. See you there.